So we're going to talk about how to set goals and actually achieve them. This is a process that I personally, I go through each and every year. And I've been doing this since 2008. And I've literally achieved everything that I've set about to achieve. And it may not necessarily all happen in that upcoming year, but it certainly sticks with me until I get it done. And I want to ask all of you in the chat window, let me know if you've ever set a New Year's resolution. Give me a Y for yes and an N for no. Okay, everybody's responding yes. I can see those replies now. Thank you for engaging. I don't wait for New Year's. And I'm going to encourage you not to wait for New Year's either. When you think about 2024, I have a thought-provoking question that I just want you to take a moment, and I really want you to process this. We're going to, provide you with a couple of minutes to actually think this through and really process it for yourself. But if we were sitting down together on December the 31st of 2024, so I'm going to cast you into the future to that date. If we were sitting down together, having a conversation, we were to look back on the entire year to today, what specifically would have had to have happened in order for you to feel remarkably happy about the progress that you made? So think about, put yourself there. It's December 31st, 2024. You're reflecting on the prior year all the way back to today. What specifically would have had to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, in order for you to feel remarkably happy about the progress that you made? Now, I give credit to that way of thinking, that approach, to my coach, to Dan Sullivan, who founded Strategic Coach. He's been coaching entrepreneurs the past 48 years. And there's a reason that he's so well known around the world, because he's very effective at what he does. And I will never be in a position where I don't have a coach. I'm always looking at getting better. There's always something new to learn. There's always something that I can improve upon. And I would say that that's the very same for each and every one of you who are in attendance tonight. There's always something new to learn. There's no such thing as having arrived in knowledge. And so I hope that you take away some great learning tonight. I'm going to work on helping you by actually helping you. And then I'm going to talk to you about my Mentoring with Jay program, and you can see the testimonials for yourself, the proof's in the pudding. If you spend 5 consecutive evenings, not consecutive, meaning one evening per week. So over the course of a 5-week period, if you spend one evening, 1 hour of your evening with me, one time per week, I promise you that if you do exactly what I share with you to do, there's no way you can fail. You're going to achieve more in 2024 without a doubt. This has been proven year over year with past attendees that have come through my program and who have been raving with me about the progress that they've made in their lives, personally and professionally. And for that, I'm humbled and I'm very grateful. But I'm just the sum parts of everyone who's mentored me. And so I'm transferring a lot of great guidance and great wisdom to those who attend those sessions with me in the new year. But prior to the new year, you're going to have some homework to do, and I'm going to share with you exactly what that is here tonight. Okay, so presumably all of you have had an opportunity to think about, to process that question that I asked you, and you're starting to think of what December 31st, 2024 is going to look like, and everything that's happened to you throughout that year. One of the primary reasons why I get people to think about it this way is I want you to be in specificity. I don't want you to be thinking vaguely about next year. I run into this all the time with people that I coach and mentor, and I ask them the same question, and they say, well, I want to be healthier. I want to be wealthier. I want to have more abundance. Your brain has no idea what to do with that. That's too vague. The human brain is incapable of dealing with vagary. You've got to program the brain with specifics. So thinking along the lines of that same example, I want to be healthier versus on December 31st, 2024, I'm going to weigh 223 pounds. I'm 259 pounds today. I'm going to weigh 223 pounds by December 31st, 2024. The human brain understands that specificity and can immediately get to work on making it real, meaning your brain's not going to do the work for you, but your brain knows what to set about making real. I want to be wealthier versus I want to create an additional $10,000 per month in passive income by December 31st, 2024. I presently generate $4,000 a month in passive income. I want to create an additional $10,000 so that by December 31st, 2024, my monthly passive income is $14,000 a month. The human brain knows exactly what to do with that in setting about to make it real. I want to create more abundance versus I want to, inside of one of my existing businesses, I want to grow the profit margins from 3% to 6.35% for an additional $342,000 in profitable income. Okay, the human brain knows how to set about making that real. And like my coach, Dan Sullivan, expresses to me often, and to everyone that he coaches in the Strategic Coach Free Zone program, is that your eyes only see and your ears only hear what your brain is looking for. Again, your eyes only see and your ears only hear what your brain is looking for. And so be very careful what you program your brain with, because sooner or later, your brain is going to buy it. And speaking of coaches and mentors, another coach and mentor is Joe Polish from the Genius Network. And if you're not familiar with who Joe Polish is, you have an opportunity. Joe wrote a book titled What's in It for Them, which I would wholeheartedly recommend to anybody on tonight's webinar. And he said something just most recently. We were down for his annual Genius Network Mastermind event, where there were 400 entrepreneurs from all over the world, some of the best entrepreneurs that you'll ever come to know, some of whom you do know. And they converge for a few days. We get together, we mastermind, we learn. And the whole emphasis is on health, wealth, and ELF, meaning health, wealth, easy, lucrative, and fun. And one of the things that Joe mentioned at the event is he said, hopefully today is the last day of who you used to be. And that's what I want to communicate forward to each and every one of you on tonight's webinar. Hopefully today is the last day of who you used to be. But in order to build a bigger future, you have to design that bigger future. And the great thing about that bigger future is that it's entirely your property. It hasn't happened yet. And so you get to design what 2024 is going to look like, being as specific as possible, because I'm telling you that goal setting, yes, it's the holy grail of progress and achievement, but there's a method and a process of doing it effectively, which has worked for me extremely well. And I'm going to share it with all of you. And so we're going to dive right in. I've got some notes that keep me on track. Otherwise, you'll be here till midnight listening to me, share all of these nuggets of wisdom that I've learned over the years. But I want to reference my notes so that we can dive right in. If you have a pen and paper, or if you're taking notes on your computer, then strap yourself in, because here we go. All right. So I mentioned that obviously goal setting is the holy grail of progress. It's the holy grail of your future. And if you want to accomplish more in your life, which would be a good indicator of why you're here, then you have to set big goals. And if you want to make 2024 your best year ever, I'm going to encourage you to be setting 10x goals. And this is doing it in such a way that's going to change your life permanently, not just over the course of a 12-month window. And I've been doing this since I was 25 years young, and I learned how to put this process in place and manifest and make, what would otherwise people might call dreams. I turn them into achievable realities. And I'm telling you, when I reflect back, because I'm 49 years young today, when I reflect back on doing this each and every year, I can see that I've achieved every goal that I've set for myself. And when I think about things like finances and health and giving and all of those things that align with my own core values, I want you to think about what are your deepest core values? How do your goals that you're thinking through align with those core values? And recognizing that it's all going to begin with this idea that you already have in your mind. And some of you are still thinking about New Year's resolutions. I'll get started on that January 1. What the hell are you waiting for? If the goal is big enough and it's important enough, why aren't you working on it now? And most people that I meet with, they respond best to having a good mentor, a good coach, somebody who is responsible to them, not for them, somebody who can help. Imagine yourself going to the gym. Your trainer's not going to lift the weight for you, but your trainer is going to make sure that you complete the movement without injuring yourself, and that you're tracking your progress, and that when you hit the guardrails and you fall off track, which you absolutely will, nobody's perfect, that you have a mentor and a coach there to help you get back on track. And so if you're struggling to set and keep your goals, if you're quitting on your goals before you ever achieve them, I'm going to share some really important things here with you tonight that are going to help you set them, stick with them, and achieve them. And the number one reason for me that I set goals, and I would encourage you to embrace this reasoning, is to provide yourself with absolute clarity. And that begins with writing them down. What exactly is it that you want in your life in 2024? What specifically are you planning to achieve in your life in 2024? What exactly is it are you going to work for? And why are you going to work for it? And for most people, especially nowadays, with everything that's happening in the economy, with everything that's happening with inflation, with onerous taxation, for most people, they're just thinking about, hey, my best answer is it's to put food on the table. It's to pay the bills. It's to feed my family. If that's the only reason, then you really shouldn't stick around tonight, because you're going to be disappointed. Sooner or later, you're going to get disengaged and you're going to get demotivated about work. And if all that your work does for you is provide you with food and shelter, then you're just not going to stay excited about it for very long. And so what you need is something to shoot for, and that's a target. And what is a target? Well, it's something that you hit. It's something that you move toward, so that you're not satisfied with where you are currently, and that you're setting goals that literally force you to look at what you're not satisfied with and to make change. And you've got to have a form of measurement, right? You want to measure. I'll give you an example for myself personally. When I think about last year, just as an example, I want to show everybody something. Check this out. So last year, that's a picture of me with Joe Polish. And this is a picture of me in July of this year. Can anybody spot the difference? Type it into the chat window. Tell me if you can see any difference in those two pictures. And if one of my teammates can help me with my full screen, I can't see the chat window. If you can hop in and tell me some of the comments that are coming through.
Yeah, Jason. So we got a lot of lost weight, a lot of good jobs. You look great and healthy, and a lot of
Thank you.
very proud of you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Well, the reason I'm sharing this is because when I'm talking about setting a goal and making it measurable, one of my objectives was 223 in 2023. And I know I was heavier than 259.9 pounds because I didn't do my first weigh-in until the end of January of 2023, but I started making change in December of 2022. Shocker, we're here tonight in December of 2023 talking about 2024. This is my rhythm. I'm already at December 31st of 2024. And one of the things for me was health. And I knew that I had to make some positive change. And I wasn't going to wait until New Year's to do that. This is a pertinent example because that's what most people do. They wait until New Year's and they say, okay, once I get over my hangover, January 1, I'm going to get in the gym and I'm going to start working out. I'm going to be fit. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise more. Do you see how there's no specifics there? And what happens in just a few short weeks? Your brain goes, I don't know what you wanted me to do with that information. So we're going to go right back to the way things were. Well, I started chipping away at it. And not only did I achieve my goal of 223 in 2023, but I reset a new goal to be below 220, which I'm a couple of pounds now away from achieving. That would not have been possible if I didn't program the brain with some very specific measurements. What did I want my waist size to be? My biceps, my chest, my hips, my thighs, my calves, my forearms, my neck. And the brain got to work on making that real. And you would be shocked at how this is translated, because through the mentoring with Jay last year, so many of our attendees went through their own weight loss journey. And I keep getting messages saying, wow, you were an inspiration to me and you led by example. And that was motivating to me. So you can see the importance of having a good coach, having somebody who can mentor you, but equip you with the right tools that are going to increase your probability of success a multiple of what it would be otherwise if you just continue to do things the way you've always been doing them. And so if you want to achieve more in 2024, give me a Y in the chat window. If you don't, just hop off the webinar. Don't waste another second of your time. Okay, good. Yes, I can see now in the chat, we're getting a lot of Ys for yes. I love that. Okay, good. Now, so we talked about measurement, right? You got to apply measurement to the goal setting. How are you going to track your progress? And then you've got to focus on the actual activity that it's going to take to achieve the goal. The goal drives the target drives the activity. And so for me, my goals and targets drive who I connect with, who I spend time with, who I contact, who I invest in, and what I do day in and day out. My goals and targets drive all of that. And then this fifth one is absolutely the most vital, and that's accountability. And I can promise you that you've all heard someone talk about accountability at some point. You've all heard it. And the fact of the matter is that most people, and most of you on tonight's webinar, the truth is that most of you are going to give up on your goals before you ever achieve anything big. You're going to quit. You're going to give up. And when you look at the new year, by midway through the month, just call it somewhere between January 15th and January 20th, most people will have already given up on their New Year's resolutions. And why do people do that? Why? I think, maybe it's because they feel defeated. They feel like they just didn't have all the tools they needed. So they just throw in the towel. And more importantly, if you're not experiencing small victories along the way, then that might be what tips the scale for you to throw in the towel. Again, I think back to what was happening with me in my own circumstance. I was consistently burning 1 to 1.2 pounds of fat every week. And that is a perfectly healthy degree of weight loss. Strength training 3 times a week, drinking 3 liters of this stuff, Aqua Fria, every day, walking 8 to 10,000 steps most days, and making sure that I ingest the right amount of protein and that I come in at a calorie deficit. That's it. But I had a coach, and still do. His name's Mitch Calvert. And once a week, every Monday, I would check in with Mitch and we would evaluate my victories. He wasn't coaching in the sense that he was sort of standing over me going, give me 6,500 push-ups in the next 40 seconds. Like, he wasn't doing anything like that. he was helping me to celebrate those small incremental gradual victories and to make sure that I stay on track. When I fell off track, he would help me get back on track. But he was supportive and he was coaching. He was helping me understand why that was happening and helping me get back on track. Isn't that what a good coach and mentor does? And so that's what kept me from throwing in the towel. And so when you look ahead to 2024, if you want someone who's going to be there to help keep you from throwing in the towel, you're looking at them. You're going to have every opportunity to spend just 1 hour once a week with me for 5 consecutive weeks. And I promise you, it's going to be 5 of the best hours you've spent with anybody in a long time. And it's going to help you and equip you to have a very successful 2024. But again, don't take my word for it. The proof's in the pudding. People who have attended and gone through this process with me will tell you firsthand that they've achieved a remarkable change because they were equipped in the right way to go about doing it. But make no mistake about it, if I'm going to coach, I'm responsible to you, not for you. I'm not taking responsibility for you, but I will certainly be responsible to you. That's for sure. All right. Now, what I want to dive into and spend a few minutes on is just how to do it. So how to set and achieve those big goals. You've got to, and I know that for some of you, this is going to sound ridiculously obvious, but I promise you, if you get your hands on one of these and one of these, and you actually write down those goals and you write them down with as many specifics as possible, then your brain's going to get to work on how to make it real. And I would encourage all of you, because what works well for me is I begin that process. I try to just really take the time to process the things that I can be grateful for. And although going back to that example from December of 2022, when I was thinking about 223 pounds in 2023, I was still grateful for the fact that, look, I had both arms, both legs, all my fingers, all my toes. I had everything I needed to get going on making positive change from a health standpoint. I was reminded of something that Joe Polish said to me back in November of 2022. And he said, show me an entrepreneur in good health, and I'll show you an entrepreneur with 1,000 dreams. Show me an entrepreneur struggling with his or her health, and I'll show you an entrepreneur with only one dream, and that's to get their health back. And so I want you to think about all the things that you have to be grateful for in your life. And I want you to take a moment while we're together and just write them down. And if you're comfortable sharing them in the chat window to serve as maybe a ray of sunshine or a ray of inspiration for everyone else in attendance, please do that. But take a moment, capture, write down what you can be grateful for today in whatever aspect of your life, your health, your wealth, your giving. Write it down. Okay, I got a request to share my before and after picture. I've got some admirers out there. Thank you. There it is. There it is. Oh, thank you, Cherie. I'm grateful for my health after I started eating carnivore. Grateful for family. Your children, your grandchildren. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, you're welcome, Mitch. You're welcome. That's my objective, is to serve as an inspiration. Okay. Now, while you're doing that, for some of you who have already completed the exercise, there's something that I want you to do next. And what I want you to do next is I want you to, just for a moment, just write down, if you experienced some form of crisis tonight, who would be the first person that you would call? If you needed $25,000 tonight because of a financial crisis, who is the very first person that you would pick up the phone and call? And they would be able to help you out with that. No questions asked. And now I want you to write down, who are the people in your life? Just capture the names, first name only. Who are the people in your life that you would die for? And then think about the people in your life who would have written your name down. That should serve as inspiration as to who you should be making progress in your life for besides yourself. One of my friends in the Genius Network, his name's Daryl Sutherland. He's a wonderful guy, and he found himself in a pretty bad situation. He was struggling, with consuming a little bit too much alcohol, and that was draining his energy. And he showed a picture of him tobogganing with one of his children. And he looks entirely different today, much like a transformation similar to my own. And he said what motivated him was he put a note and he taped that note to his bathroom mirror. And it was the first thing he saw every morning when he got up to get ready to do what he needed to do for the day. And that note read, "Stop killing your children's father. Stop killing your children's father." And that was his inspiration, and that was his daily motivation to set about achieving that significant change that he needed to achieve in his life in order to make significant progress in his life. And so I want you to think about these things as you're looking ahead and thinking through what 2024 is going to look like for you. Now, when you write down the goals, write them down like I shared with specifics, but I want you to make sure that you're writing them as though they've already been achieved. So think about it in the present tense, right? That it's already done. It's already happening. Make sense? Write the goals down as though they've already been achieved. And write them down whether or not you're achieving them. It doesn't matter if you're not achieving them. This, sounds like you're deceiving yourself, but what you're doing is you're writing down the future as though it's already happened. And that is rocket fuel for your brain, because the human brain is incapable of doing anything extraordinary. It has to be programmed with specifics. I cannot emphasize that enough. And then you're going to want to make sure that your goals are much bigger than you believe is possible. So when I talk about 10x, okay, Dan Sullivan, my coach, says that it's much easier to 10x than it is to 2x. So if you have a business doing $1 million a year in revenue, it's much easier to grow that business to 10 million a year than it is to 2 million a year. Because when you think of growing it to 2 million a year, all you're thinking about is more of the same work. Double the work, double the effort, double the time, double the energy. Whereas if you're thinking 10x, you're forced to innovate. You're forced to do things differently. And so I want you to think about setting goals that are bigger than what you initially envisioned. Here's why. In the chat window, tell me if you can think of a time in your life when you were making 10 times less money each year than what you are now. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Okay, everybody typed in Y. Okay, I'm not seeing any no, thank goodness. Okay, so here's the deal, and please hear me. You've already 10x'd. You've already got the programming up here. You've already done it. And so can you 10x again? Yes. My question to you is, will you 10x again? Give me a Y in the chat window for yes, or an N for no way. And I need to hear from everybody. I want to see 130 Ys in that chat window. If you're not willing to type the letter Y on a keyboard, get off the damn webinar. That you're definitely not going to do anything big next year. All right, good. I'm seeing it come through. So look, you've already done this. That's the whole point. You've already 10x'd in your life. You can do it again. The question is, will you? I know how I have created multiple 10x leaps in my life, and that's when I had a coach, when I had a mentor, when I wasn't going at it alone. You're going to have that opportunity tonight. I'm going to walk you through what that looks like for the new year. And I promise you, you better go buy yourself a new seatbelt as a Christmas gift, because if you're going to hop onto those sessions with me next year, get ready to grow and get ready to make progress. And we're not going to waste any time doing it. Does that sound good? Give me a 10 for absolutely in the chat window, and 1, you think I'm clinically insane and I need an immediate psychiatric evaluation. Okay, good. All right. Okay, look, here's the deal. I want you to write this down. Go big or go bigger. Go big or go bigger. There's nothing wrong with thinking big, right? That doesn't cost you anything. And Revenue Canada certainly can't tax you on thinking big. Oh gosh, I shouldn't have said that out loud. I hope nobody from CRA is on the webinar tonight. Look, I am always going to be thinking a minimum of 10x bigger than what I think is even possible, because I need that to keep my focus. And if the goal isn't much bigger than what you think is possible, then you're not going to think of the payoff as being big enough, meaningful enough, significant enough, game-changing enough. And it's certainly not going to maintain your attention, right? People give up on their damn goals because they just aren't meaningful enough. They're not significant. There's no life-changing result. Do you think that going from 260 pounds, do you think that going from 260 pounds, going from 260 pounds minimum, because I was heavier than that when I started this journey, for sure, but I didn't do my first weigh-in until the end of January. Do you think going from that to just being on the cusp of being below 220, do you think that's significant? I do. I had to go and buy a whole new wardrobe. I sleep better. I have far more energy, if you can believe that. I'm already pretty high energy. I'm more present. I'm more focused. And so whatever your goals are, remember, thinking big is one thing, but committing to goals that are much bigger than you think are possible, that's the whole premise behind what I'm setting the stage for with you tonight. Because I don't want people coming in to mentoring with Jay who have goals that are not significant, meaningful, or life-changing enough. Don't even bother enrolling for the program if that's where you're at. I would encourage you and hopefully serve you with some inspiration to just think bigger. Because when you've got goals that are really, truly going to change your life, then with the right coaching and the right mentoring, you're going to stay focused and you're going to take massive action and you're going to embrace accountability. Speaking of taking massive action, oh boy. You know, my dad, sadly, who passed away when I was in my early 20s, my dad used to say something to me often. He would say, son, don't ever be convicted guilty of giving up on yourself. You can get discouraged, but don't ever be convicted guilty of giving up on yourself. You can get disappointed, but don't ever be convicted guilty of giving up on yourself. And so whenever I feel like giving up, and I'm human, we all experience it, I can hear my dad's voice whispering in my ear. And I always think about my kids. What example would it set for my own kids if I were to just throw in the towel and give up? So I'm telling you flat out, don't give up on the possibility even that you can achieve goals that are much bigger than what you thought possible. The next piece of advice I'm going to give you is really important. Surround yourself with the right people. Anybody who's energy draining, you got to cut them out of your life. You got to cut them out. And you got to do it despite what's going on, despite whatever's happening with you. Surround yourself with people that you know who believe in you and believe in your goal, as long as you don't quit on it. As long as you don't quit on it. And I want you to type into the chat window, tell me if there are people in your life, whether it's one or more, who drain your energy and maybe you're not sure how to cut them off. Okay, so I'm getting, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, Deidre, I hope I pronounced that properly. Forgive me if I didn't. Already said, yeah, I already cut them out. Somebody mentioned Vincent, I got an energy vampire. Pino, I did it. It was a tough one to do, working on it, etc. You may have seen this, this meme that's out there where Denzel Washington says, look, if you find yourself in a room surrounded by 5 millionaires and you're the sixth person in the room, sooner or later, you're going to become the sixth millionaire. If you find yourself in a room surrounded by 5 really ambitious, goal-driven, perseverant people, then sooner or later, you're going to be the sixth one. And there are a few more. And then he goes on to say, if you find yourself in a room full of 5 idiots, sooner or later, you're going to end up being the sixth idiot. And so the way to cut someone like that out of your life, of course, you want to approach it, with just a degree of being candid, but you need to speak your truth, because here's another write me downer. All progress begins with telling the truth. That's where it all begins. All progress begins with telling the truth. And so it requires a little bit of courage, because it's a crucial conversation. It can be difficult, and you've got to tell the truth. Here's how I'm feeling about the current state of our association with each other, or our relationship with each other. I've decided for my own bigger future and my own well-being that things are changing. And one of those things is this relationship. And it's not easy to do, because there's emotional sensitivity, right? That person might resort to telling you everything that's wrong with you and why you're the one to blame for the relationship being in that state, whatever it is. You have to just let that be water off of a duck's back, and don't get emotionally sensitized, and just stay focused on the fact that you're going to build a future that's bigger than your past. And the great thing about building that bigger future is that you get to decide what comes with you from your past and your present into that bigger future, and what you leave behind. But make no mistake about it, you control all 3 elements. You control your past, your present, and your future. Be very, very careful what you're feeding each one of them. And when I look ahead to an upcoming year, I begin with, when I'm sitting down on December 31st, 2024, and I look back on the year to today, what specifically had to have happened in order for me to feel remarkably happy about the progress, personally and professionally. And I'm writing down specifics. And I'm communicating them. And the first thing I'm thinking about is, what aspects of those things that I want to get done next year do I need a coach for? And then it's all about who, not how. The who is the coach. Who possesses the unique capabilities to help me get that how done? And then I go out and get the coach. You may have heard the best investment you can make is the investment in yourself. Give me a Y in the chat window if you believe that, or N if you don't. It's okay if you have a different perspective and you disagree on that. But I've heard that a million times throughout my journey in life. The best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. Well, what does that mean? That's not specific. But if you reference your goals, and for me, I needed a fitness coach. Every year I crush my wealth goals, I crush my giving goals, but I was struggling with my health goal. And then finally, I just slapped myself in the face because I was like, you've got a coach for all aspects except health. Go and get a coach. And so I did that. And boy, am I sure glad I did. And Mitch is going to be collaborating with us at Ascendant. We're going to be offering a health program for our clients starting next year. So stay tuned for details on that. It's going to be pretty amazing. And you'll be able to go through the very same journey that I did. And so I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything that I haven't proven can be done myself. And so if you want to go on that same journey, you're going to have an opportunity to do that next year. Isn't that good? And we've already, among our team and among people who are close to me and who have been mentored by me, we've shed hundreds of pounds this year. It's absolutely incredible. I was just speaking with a gentleman here a couple of days back who told me, he said, hey, I'm 62 pounds lighter than I was when I last spoke to you. And you were my inspiration. I followed you on Facebook. I followed all the posts. You served as my inspiration. Wow. And so for you, think about your situation as you're making measurable progress in your life. You just never know who you're going to inspire, even from a distance. And so the key there is to share it. Talk about it. Talk about your small victories and share them. It's not to brag. It's to express progress and that you're proud and that you're happy to share that. And you're happy to share the how. And you're happy to refer the who, people who have helped you achieve what you've achieved. And so 2024 is right around the corner, right? We can all agree on that. And if you wait until New Year's to get going on what I'm describing to you here tonight, then you've really done yourself a disservice. I want to get a head start. I've already got my goals written down for next year. I've already done that with a very high degree of specificity. And my brain is already setting about making it real. This always lands on one of my goals. I'm going to have 30 attendees come through my Mentoring with Jay program. I'm going to receive a minimum of 20 raving reviews from my attendees describing to me how they've improved the health aspect of their lives, the wealth aspect of their lives, and the giving aspect of their lives. See, my brain knows what to do with that. And now I just need to get 30 people to enroll tonight, and that's mission accomplished. But I have no doubt that there'll be more than that. But nonetheless, the reason that you should be in Mentoring with Jay is because it's going to mean progress. It's going to mean more health, more money, more giving, more resources for you, the ability to take control of your life and to truly enrich your life and the lives of others. And so you want to be in the Mentoring with Jay program because of those reasons. Isn't that good? I want to do a quick value check-in. If you're getting value from tonight, give me a 10. If you wished that you were doing anything else other than being on this webinar tonight, give me a 0. Okay, fantastic. I'm really, really glad to hear that. Okay, I want to talk to you a little bit about Mentoring with Jay. And I want to describe to you what that's going to be. Even put together some pretty cool slides to show you. Okay, so Monday Mentoring with Jay. Does everybody like that headline? Unlock your 2024 for an unbeatable price. But wait, there's more. It's one of those things, right? Look, the bottom line is that I'm going to help you achieve more in 2024. Okay. Now, you get 5 mentoring sessions. So we're going to start those sessions the first week of January. The dates are going to be sent out to everybody once they're finalized, because January 1 falls on a Monday. I normally do them every Monday evening. So we're going to send the dates out when you enroll. And don't worry, if you're not able to make all of them, you get access to all the session recordings. You can revisit them at your own pace, transcripts of the recordings. It's all going to be archived. Now, originally, this is valued at $76,046.10, but tonight it's $997. This is one of the best holiday gifts you can get yourself. Charge it to the credit card, get the points, and you get the complete package. This is only translates to about $199 a session, which is a fraction of my usual hourly rate. You can gain 10x the value. That should tell you what my hourly rate is, for a fraction of the cost. And so don't miss out. I'm telling you right now that this opportunity is going to be available for tonight only, unless Karan tells me that he's going to send out another email to everybody tomorrow if we don't get our 30 attendees enrolled tonight. I'm going to cap it at 30. We've got 137 people in attendance tonight. So if you want to enroll now and achieve more in 2024, then go and do that right now. Do that by scanning the QR code or texting the word mentor to 780-809-4599. Again, that's 780-809-4599. Or scan that QR code. Go and get it now. Get enrolled now. This will be the best holiday gift that you gift yourself, I promise you. And part of our giving initiative is that from every person who enrolls for the Mentoring with Jay, that $997, as a company, part of our giving initiative, we are going to donate a portion of that enrollment is going to go directly to supporting local food banks in the communities where we live and work across the country. And we serve Canadians coast to coast. And so you're already going to be giving, so we can check the box in that category. And we're going to amplify your giving, but we're also going to amplify your health and your wealth through these sessions. And it's going to be nothing short of incredible. So in the chat window, I can't see this, so one of my teammates is going to have to hop on with me here. Can I get a heck yeah from everybody in attendance? Let me know if you want to achieve more in 2024. And you want me to help mentor you and guide you along the way.
Nothing but a lot of heck yeahs, Jayson.
Good to see. Thank you. Yeah, with this full screen, for some reason, I'm not able to see the chat. Okay, and if you're comfortable in the webinar chat, just type in a $sign to let me know if you've scanned the code, you're enrolling, and you're going to be there with me in the new year, and we're going to get a lot of great progress accomplished together. Give me a $sign in the chat window, and then Sukhman, let me know if we're getting any.
Yeah, you got more than a few $signs here.
Oh, that's fantastic. Awesome. It's good. I like that. Okay. If you need that QR code back, just if you missed it or you don't know the number to text the word, what was the word again that we're texting? Mentor.
Mentor. Yep.
Mentor. Okay. So if one of my teammates can type that in the chat window, text the word mentor to 780-809-4599, 780-809-4599. That would be incredible. And here's something that I shared last year, and this is pretty amazing. You know, when you think about how quickly the time flies. If you think of the tool that we're on right now, Zoom. Do all of you know that 12 years ago, Zoom was just an idea on somebody's whiteboard? Do you realize that? 12 years ago, this technology was just an idea on somebody's whiteboard, which turned into a goal, which turned into a target, which turned into a team, which turned into a company, which enables all of us to zoom ahead in our lives right now. So just think about that for a second. Think about that big idea you've got. that you haven't gotten onto your whiteboard yet. And with the right coaching and mentoring, that could be the catalyst you need to making that a reality. Take the word dream, plural, and make them achievable realities with the right tools, the right coaching, and the right mentoring. Isn't that good? I think so. You know, if you use your brain in a capacity and in a way that you already have the capacity to do, then you can now experience this creation of this bigger future in a really, really transformative way. But we got to put a deadline to it, right? That's why I took you to December 31st of next year, because you're thinking about these future results as though they've already gotten done. And then you got to work backward from that and make it measurable. Write it down. You might even want to capture all the obstacles that are currently preventing you from achieving that future, that bigger future, and then just put them in the order of priority. And you've got to be accountable. It cannot be a growth process that is self-contained. And when we do these mentoring with Jay sessions, they're group sessions. Everyone is on Zoom, just like we are now. And I promise you, the relationships, the insights, the questions that other people are asking that become your best answers, it's no longer a self-contained growth process. You're among a group and you get to take advantage of everything that I have to offer to you. And you get to stay away from negativity or any of that other crap in your life. And you can really be surrounded by a group of people that are all ambitious, perseverant, motivated, and you get to bypass all of that other stuff that's just going to be an obstacle for you. Isn't that good? And so for me, it's the future. The future is always exciting. And when you think about it, it's going to be here before you know it. The new year is just right around the corner. And so I want to, if it's okay with you, Sukhman, I want to spend just a couple more minutes, but I want to talk about any questions that are coming up. I'd love to know any insights or any questions that have been shared by our attendees here tonight that I can just maybe expand on or just provide a little bit of additional context for the benefit of everybody who's in attendance.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did have one question in the Q&A box here. So again, everybody in the chat box, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box. We may miss them if they're in the chat box there. So a question from Mike. This is a great question. And
Yeah.
Mike, it's good to see you on the webinar here. Do you find a difference between writing versus typing your goals?
Absolutely. As you're writing, there is, and this has all been scientifically researched and studied ad nauseum about the connection between how you commit things to memory when you write them down versus typing them. And so for myself, I go through several notebooks a year and I keep them all. I have every notebook that I've filled out since 2008, every single one. And I find that it just really helps me to commit those things to memory. And so great question. Thanks for asking.
I'm just taking a look through the chat box here. We had the team answered some questions. So
Oh, good. I'll tell you something, Sukhman. This is something that might be of interest to everyone else as well. So I grew up in a small mining and forestry community in Timmins, Ontario. And this community is about 7.5 hours north of Toronto. And while growing up there, I used to, with my friends, we used to play a lot of road hockey and we would talk about our dreams. And one of my childhood friends who lived 2 doors down from me, his name's Steve Sullivan. And he would talk about, I'm going to play in the NHL someday. I'm going to be a professional hockey player. And we would all kid around, and bug him and rib him and say, yeah, no, come on. That's pie in the sky. And as if you're going to make that, right? You can all relate as kids, you would, rib each other. Well, sure enough, he went on to play in the NHL. He had a great career in the NHL. And when I was growing up, I would say, I'm going to be a successful businessman and I'm going to go to Harvard and I'm going to become a millionaire many times over. And my friends thought that I was off my rocker. They said, there's no way that's going to happen. Not a chance. So imagine if I would have listened to them. I'm one course away from completing my Harvard credential. So all my childhood friends who may be in attendance, who's laughing now? And if you would have told me that I would have a group of companies, 12 businesses that are going to generate in excess of $40 million this year, if you would have told my friends that back on the street in Timmins when I was just knee high to a grasshopper, they wouldn't have been able to conceive it. And neither would I. And I've grown my own personal net worth to in excess of $40 million. There was no silver in my house growing up. My parents knew how to argue about money. They had no idea how to keep it. And they had certainly no idea how to multiply it. And that's what destroyed their marriage. And do you know what the leading cause of divorce is? Can anybody type it in the chat window? What is the leading cause of divorce? Marriage. Oh, okay. So, all right. Tip the waiter, try the steak. I'll be here all night. Okay. Look, I want to obviously hang out with all of you. I think it's a lot of fun, but I just wanted to sort of plant a seed on the mentoring with Jay. I wanted to help you tonight by actually helping you. So give me some direct feedback in the chat window. Did I help you tonight by actually helping you? Yes or no? Fantastic. Good. Karan, I don't know if do you have a line of sight to how many people have opted in for the mentoring with Jay?
Jason, while Karin's getting that together, there is one more question. When
Yeah,
is the
fire away.
latest? When is the latest to join the mentorship if I can't join right away?
Let's see. We're about 32 seconds away from that. No, I'm just kidding. Look, we're marketing it to fill it up. And so we're going to keep marketing to it till we fill it up. And normally, I do a pretty crappy job of filling it up the first time that I talk about it. And so if we achieve 30 tonight, great. If we don't, we'll keep marketing to it until we fill it up. And I'm only kidding. We may have already filled it up. I don't know. But look, if it takes you any longer than 2 seconds to decide on this, then I would just say it's not for you. Like this should have pulled at you to say, this is the right time. This is the right coach. I can envision myself learning and growing as a result of spending time with Jay. And if you haven't gotten there, then maybe it's just not for you right now. And that's okay too. As long as you leave happy tonight, that's okay. Nobody's going to try to pressure you or back you into a corner or reach into your pocket for money or anything like that. And believe me, I'm not doing this for the $997. I earn millions of dollars a year. I don't need that money. This is rocket fuel so that we can keep making these programs better.
So Jason, Karin just let us know in the chat there that there's 12 people that have already signed up.
Oh, fantastic. Good. Okay, look, let's listen, if you're still sitting on the fence, not quite sure what to tell you. The proof's in the pudding again. I can't emphasize that enough. I know that we've got on the, I think we had the, I know Moses was going to pull this together.
Jason, whenever you get a chance, we have a few more questions in the chat box.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to do a search because I wanted to pull up the testimonials from the previous session that we did. But go
Awesome.
ahead. Yeah, run it by.
The question here is from Colin. Another great question. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on developing habits that stay with you?
Oh, yeah. My thoughts on developing habits that stay with you. You are already, and this is another write me downer for everybody. You are already 100% disciplined in your own set of habits. you're already 100% disciplined in your own set of habits. I'm proof of that. Prior to December of 2022, I was already 100% disciplined in my own set of habits. In order for me to achieve that bigger goal, 223 pounds in 2023, I had to incorporate new habits. But new habits take time to stick. And I believe it's 21 days to break a habit or 21 days to develop a new one. But the key is you have to stick with it by actually taking the action. And if you don't have a good coach or a mentor, then it's not going to stick with you because you're not going to be sure about what to do. I thought that I could outwork a bad diet. Hey, all I got to do is work out more and I'm going to lose the weight. So I stuck with a habit that I was already 100% disciplined in. And once I got coaching and mentoring, I adopted that new habit and I stuck with it. So now this is like just my daily routine. And I'm 100% disciplined in my current set of habits. And so I hope that's helpful. And Scott makes a good point. He's like, yeah, it's more like 60 days to establish a habit. I wasn't aware of that, but thank you for sharing that, Scott. That's a really good bit of information to know. Okay, yeah.
That's all the questions in the Q&A box.
That's all we have in the Q&A.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to share because I found here are some of the testimonials from last year. Don Sibley shared, when I learned that you were offering a coaching session, I was all in from the start. Knowing about your success in business and my need to have a mentor motivated me to join. Very glad I did. Like a prescription, it was just what I needed. Being accountable to someone who has your best interests at heart is the best way to stay focused on your goals. As a mentor, you've helped me to refine them, to clearly see the path to success when it's easy to lose heart. I cannot stress the importance of rubbing shoulders with like-minded people as those in the group. That's Dawn. Jin, I'm really grateful for the Monday mentoring. You bring so much inspiration and encouragement to me professionally and personally. Time spent with you is always appreciated and cherished. Your coaching is changing my life. Neil, hey, Jayson, this was the best class yet tonight. Really enjoyed it. I think my hand cramped from all the writing. And then he goes on to write this incredible testimonial and how he's been set up for success, growth, and ambitions now become a lifelong activity for him. The course has given him the tools that he needed to move forward with his life and his big dreams. And if he can't impart even 10% on his kids for the rest of their lives, then he'll consider himself a great success. Now, I want to show you something. I want to show all of you something real quick. So stick with me here because this is pretty neat. Let's find Neil. And I know Neil won't mind me sharing this. He's a really awesome guy. Can everybody see my screen? There's and Neil didn't look like that a year ago. And a source of inspiration for him was the Monday mentoring with Jay. That fills my heart with joy and fulfillment and gratitude. And that was just one of the goals that he set out to achieve. He's achieved many. And so, look, this is the best holiday gift you can give yourself. $997. Text the word mentor to 780-809-4599 or scan that QR code if that's easier for you. And get enrolled in the program. Promise you it'll be a worthwhile use of your time. The testimonies speak for themselves. They're incredible. Isn't that good? Okay, well, go ahead. If you have a question, is it Ronell? If you can't access the Q&A window, just go ahead and type it in the chat window. Let me know what your question is. I want to make sure that your question gets answered.
Jayson, there's a few more in the Q&A box as well.
Fire away. Let's do it up.
So the first one is there a payment plan?
Is there a payment plan?
Yeah.
Not currently. I suppose that's something that we could look at. That's a really good question. Honestly, that's the first time we've been asked that. So I'm sure we can make an accommodation there.
Awesome. And next question is, would you ever consider doing a once a month mentorship?
Yeah, that's actually, there's another program that's in the works that's going to be once quarterly. You'll actually get to spend an entire day with me once every 90 days.
Awesome. And then another question. This question, I wish they shared their name because it's a good question. It's what has been the impact of surrounding yourself with better people? What has the impact been of surrounding yourself with people that are better than you in your life at different times?
Oh, wow. That is such an amazing question. Oh, the impact is immeasurable. I can tell you in every aspect of my life, health, wealth, and giving, surrounding myself with people who are much smarter than I am inspires me to grow because they lift me up, right? They challenge me to become an even better version of myself. And boy, does that ever feel good when somebody challenges you to do that. It feels remarkably good. And there's a reason, like for example, in Strategic Coach, I invest 50,000 US dollars a year, which is about 1.68 billion Canadian, to spend 4 days with Dan Sullivan in a year, one full day every 90 days. The reason I invest 50,000 a year to do that is because I know who's not going to be in that room. But I can tell you who's going to be there. It's going to be people who are much more accomplished and much smarter than me. There's a reason that I invest 25,000 US dollars to be in Joe Polish's Genius Network. Because I know that I'm going to be challenged to become a better version of myself. I know that I'm going to be challenged to become a healthier version of myself, a wealthier version of myself, a more giving version of myself. That's inspiring to me. And you know what's happened since I've invested that kind of money to grow? Shocker, I've grown significantly. And so think about what 997, an investment of 997 bucks. When my quarterly program comes out, people are going to be paying upwards of 15 to 20,000 a year to spend that time with me. And they'll write that check all day long because they know exactly what they're going to get. Proof's in the pudding.
So, Jason, Ronell's question was, how do you find more advanced people? So I'm guessing this is catered towards people
Get
that are
in the
ahead.
right room.
Mm.
Get in the right room. And getting in the right room means that you've got to have a very clear definition of who you want your bigger future self to be. So it starts there. Again, it's not just I want to be around people who are smarter than me. You've got to define who that bigger future version of you is, and then get in a room with people who've already done that. And they can coach you and help you along the way.
Got it. Um, we have one more question here, and
Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
along the lines of how do you find them? Like, how do you find these people? Whether you're in a situation that's not the best, a negative situation, or people around you aren't in those high spirits, right? How do you go ahead and find these people?
It's a really good question. It's I think just nowadays with the internet, it's not hard, not difficult to do. If you've already got that better future version of you mapped out, then you can start searching online to say, can find for me mastermind groups where they're, in my case, to give you an example, I would say entrepreneurs who are running businesses that generate in excess of $100 million a year in revenue, all the way to $1 billion a year or more in revenue. And that is going to generate a list of different mastermind groups that I can begin exploring. And then within those groups, I would ask people, hey, can you think of any other groups that might be beneficial for my journey of growth? And so it all begins with that single step of research, right? You've got to get out there and start researching it. And if you want this change bad enough, you'll find the resources to invest in yourself. And if you don't find them, you'll create them. I'll never forget Gary. So Gary Vaynerchuk, that guy doesn't have to worry about money. And he said, look, I'm going to demonstrate to you exactly how to go doing that. And he spent a few weekends recording himself going to these garage sales, and he was picking out these items, scanning to see what they comparably priced out on eBay or Amazon, etc. He was buying stuff for pennies on the dollar and reselling it, and he was making an extra couple $1,000 every weekend. Now, of course, he didn't keep that money. I'm sure he gave it all away, but he just wanted to prove to people that if you want it bad enough, there are ways to create the money that you need in order to make that progress in your life. And so there's no excuse and no explanation. My late dad used to say all the time, explanations don't excuse and excuses don't explain anything. So don't bother trying either one with me. And I've transferred that same knowledge to my 4 children as well. Excuses and explanations don't fly in my world. They never have and they never will.
Jason, that's all the question in the Q&A box, but I had a question. I think it'd be kind of cool to drop this nugget for everyone that's stayed on with us. It's
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
one of your mentors and one of all of our mentors, Nelson Nash. What
Yes.
was his point of view on goal setting, and how did he go about goal setting?
Wow. That's a really good question. Nelson, his approach was just ridiculously simple. He, if he thought, because he was an airplane driver for many years, not only in the Air Force, but he spent time recreationally, flying. So if he wanted to get himself a new airplane, then he would be very, very specific about, okay, here's how much capital needs to go into my family banking system in order for me to produce enough loan amount available to finance either partially in full this new airplane. And so Nelson was very methodical in his approach, and he was very thoughtful. Like he spent a very he spent a lot of time thinking about his thinking, but he would write notes, he would research and read, he would validate his thinking and his goal setting, and then he would just get after it and get it done. And he did extremely well, for himself. He was incredibly humble, but he did really well for himself. The goals that he set for himself, he achieved them. And he had really good mentors that helped him along the way. Leonard Reed was one of his biggest mentors for many, many years. And he had several other mentors in his life that helped him along his life's journey. And he got better as a result. Really good question. Thank you.
All
That's
right,
good.
we have one more question. I think I'll ask this last question in the
Shoot.
Q&A box. It is, are you working excessive hours now? That is a large part of success for me, which is more time with family.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for asking that. I am a workaholic. Um, I'm being coached on it, getting, really, really good mentoring on it. I'm making significant progress. Um, I put in time, but I'm also when I spend time with my family, which is also very, very and extremely important to me, I'm present. And so wherever you are, be where you are, be present. And I'm much better today than I was even just 3 years ago. I take a short sabbatical each and every year where I take a minimum of 4 consecutive weeks away from all of my companies. And if you would have asked me to do that 3 years ago, there wouldn't have been a chance that I would have done that, because I felt like I had to, that was sort of, I wore it like a badge of honor. Like, look at how much I work. Big deal. Like, you've got to have that quality time with your family, and not try to strike a balance, but to re-examine your priorities. And that's what I'm doing all the times, and I'm getting better at it. I'm a work in progress, no pun intended, but that's the truth. Okay, look, if you're sitting off on the fence, get off the fence. Go and enroll in Mentoring with Jay. Do it now, because it's going to help you and equip you to create more abundance in your life, and to build a future that's bigger than your past, and to get better in the health aspect of your life, the wealth aspect of your life, the giving aspect of your life. Isn't that good? Okay, everybody, I appreciated being with you tonight. And to all my teammates, stay awesome. To all of our attendees, be great, but make the best investment you can. And that's the investment in yourself. Mentoring with Jay. I hope to see you there early 2024.